Hi, everyone. Thanks for those who are online, very punctual. Thank you for coming on time. Over here at the Singapore office, we have a few people sitting at the front. For those of you who are in the Singapore office, if you would like to join us for the show and tell, please come to the front. We're going to start soon. Today, we have a special feature from Jaren. Jaren will be doing a demo on what he's building for Moshi. Yay. I thought that's why you guys are here. No. Is that why are you all here? Oh, you have seen Moshi. Okay. A lot of people have not seen Moshi, and I think we're all interested to see. Yeah. Yeah, Jaren's just getting himself ready at the back. I think we will go with him first. When you're ready, Jaren, take your time. We have a lot of time today. We have a few demos. I mean, not many, but demos, 3 demos today. But I would also invite the floor. Actually, this is one of the things that the residencies, they do. They will just open the floor to say, anybody who wants to come up and demo something that you're building, you are free to come up. Just let us know so we can cater time for you. All right, Singapore office, guys, come join us at the front here. We're going to get started with Jaren's demo. Demoing Moshi. Woo!
Test. So hi everyone, in person. No, I won't. So for the past few months, we've been working on this thing called Moshi. So the whole idea is that there are SMBs out there, and number one is that sometimes when customers are texting them, their replies are firstly late, and then secondly, people who are replying them sometimes don't reply well, especially when they come from very traditional industries. So we were experimenting how could we create an AI sales agent that could represent them naturally. So that's the whole idea of Moshi. So I won't show the actual product because we are iterating heavily on it. Just a sneak peek, in a few weeks' time, we have a much more comprehensive one. But just wanted to update some progress that we made last week. So in the past, we used to do this very customized for car dealers and also home services providers. But now we have also done it for mobile phone dealers. So we started out with a internal team, Laku6 as a use case. So Laku6 is our, for those who do not know, they are our team as part of Carousell Group, an entity that does buying and selling of mobile phones and also the inspection of it. So they recently opened a store at Chinatown Point. So people will be WhatsApping them, asking about the available phones, asking them like more information about their offerings. So they have a few customer service people that are replying it, but they're also thinking, oh man, there's a lot of automation. Like how do I automate this and make this simpler? Because after hours, it is people are on leave, people are not replying, and then sometimes they lose sales. So we have, in the past week, we have done a sales agent for them. So just to show you how it looks like. One sec. Wait. Somehow it's not showing up. You all see it? Oh, nice. Yeah, so this is the customer view where imagine someone's asking, hey, what phones do you have? And you have an AI agent that can reply on behalf of them automatically. So this is something that we have done and connected their WhatsApp to. But I think one key thing that we're working on is how do we fetch the accurate inventory and the prices accordingly. So they have actually this very massive sheet of 1,500 inventory that updates every few hours actually of the items that's available, things that have been deleted, and all the prices also. So this is something that their customer sales rep are fetching manually. Whenever people are asking, they're just going here to search. But we also wanted our AI sales agent to be able to fetch the right accurate data. So this is a live sheet that gets updated. So we have built a Google Drive integration where we will pass through this sheet every time someone asks about an inventory. So this is something that we have done, and because we've done it for them, we have unlocked this Google Drive integration now that we can also do it for other users. Okay, so that's Moshi in a nutshell, but Moshi is getting more comprehensive and currently in the gym working out and growing some muscles. So in a few weeks' time, you'll see a much buffer one. Okay, thank you.
Okay, any questions for Jaren? And maybe I'll pass it to Mabel to interview you and ask you a little bit about the tech behind.
Yeah, what is the, it's interesting. I like the name also, super cute. Why do you all come up with this name? And then I guess like also the tech stack, like how are you using it to extract like the data to scroll through like the Excel sheet?
Yeah, so firstly on the name Moshi, okay, guess which room did we think of this name Moshi? Wow, wonder why you said retro gamers, but there's this room called Moshi Moshi. So it actually means it's like talking in Japanese. So this idea came off a jam that between Alvin and Siwei in Moshi Moshi, and thinking, hey, this is a problem that they face and also other SMBs face, and what name should they think of it? And hence Moshi, because they were in the room, but it's also something that talks about chatting, conversation. But we also believe that this is something that will really help conversational commerce as well. In terms of tech stack, a lot of it that we are using right now is with Gemini models. So that's where we are passing it through and sending it to LLM to go and fetch the accurate data. So I'm sure there's actually a lot of things underneath it that I'm not the best technical expert in it. But we are using a lot of Gemini models to help us do all the passing of data.
It's a custom stack, or like it's using their software development kit, like their SDK, or it's like.
Yeah, okay, what exactly goes on there? I think we definitely customize especially on the whole stack using our own. But in terms of the models, that's where we also leverage some of that. Okay, I don't know, I'll follow up on that and get back to you on the exact technical details.
No, it's fine, I was just curious. But yeah, it's interesting. I mean, like recently I was also sharing with Adib, like the Hermes workspace agent just came out with it. And then I've been linking it up. So previously it was like a different way to like scour through a huge database. But then I realized with experimenting with the different models and the different platforms, some of it is able to pass through like quite efficiently with minimal like infrastructure. Like previously we had to configure a lot of it, right? So I think now I was just curious because I wanted to hear like how it was being done, and then potentially we could trade notes on like how like I'm seeing that it's possible, because like a few months ago what I had to do was like much more configuration. Like now it's much simpler, right? Like it's easier for you to get that same result with a lot less kind of effort on the technical aspect. So yeah, I was just curious about it.
Yeah, we are also using Hermes agent, but
Nice.
we are using it not for this. We are using it to help us develop and iterate on the code faster. So that's something that one of our engineers have done. And I mean, it also helps me as a non-techie. I'll just ask this Hermes agent. We call it affectionately known as Trump, because ideally it could have the power to do anything it wants. So yeah, it's also something that benefits me to iterate on things, study our code base, iterate, make quick changes also. So yeah, we're also using it. Yeah, we could trade notes on it.
Nice.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, he already came out. Okay, Mabel, do you want to go next?
Okay, so okay, so maybe what I'll do is, okay, so today I think something interesting is that previously I think I was doing like all my slides quite manually, and then I realized it was taking me a lot of time. So I had some conversations with like the residents, and I think last week when even though I was not here, I was watching like Wilson's presentation, and I thought it was I really liked the slides that he made and how he organized everything. So I was like, okay, maybe if I feed in the content, I just use GPT 5.5, and I think it was still pretty accurate to my style of design. So it was pretty interesting to see, because I'm quite like anal about the design. I want it to be like a perfectionist. So I think this deck is actually the first time I'm fully not using Canva for it. So I just wanted to share this part. And yeah, so it's actually week 6. I think it's a mid-residency check-in. And I just wanted to share a bit on the retention metrics up to date, and also some of the progress in terms of like product iteration and the learnings I have had from other residents while having conversations with them. So currently I have 21 actual users for this current beta testing wave. And previously, I think I've always mentioned that I have 2 different paths, like one on the product that I was building and one on the agentic ops. But I think one, I have done a lot of reflection, especially the past 2 weeks when I was having conversations, and I realized that I am delaying the monetization testing. I spent a lot of time like polishing the product, and this is like a personal like founder limiting belief that I think I have, which I reflected on. So my main question for this week was about the product loop and my distribution engine, and I don't want to just do any more isolated experiments without really going into what kind of like return I can get on improving the product and also getting it to the market, right? So for the traction read, like my early pull is real. Like I was actually worrying a lot on the churn from users, what I perceived as churn, but actually I realized that it is not exactly that they are not returning to my product, but it's more that they are activated, and then how do I actually turn this bond into something that is more repeatable? So my activation rates currently are 90.5%, so at least I think this is an improvement from my past few beta testing ways. Previously, they wouldn't even complete the onboarding. They would just like churn because my onboarding was way too complicated. So now I decided to weave in the questions through the conversation for the companion and the users as they go along, so that I can get a better sense of them, versus like loading everything at the front and then it becomes very like dry, you know? So users don't even want to talk to the companion, they just fall off and I don't continue any relationship. Secondly, my rolling day 7 retention is 73.7, so there's a strong early relationship pool, and even amongst the mature users, 61.5%, which is pretty decent because I think the industry average I'm comparing against is about 3.5 to 5%. But I do see that those who are active in the last 7 days have fallen. So I think my main problem now is how do I get from like activation to forming the bond, and then there's like a plateau risk, and I want to really systemize the wellness loop so that I can turn it into something that users want to actually pay for, not just chat with like an emotional connection that doesn't really go anywhere, right? So I realized this is my founder blocker, so I stopped protecting the relationship. Okay, since I have a bit more time, I just want to go a bit like, it's just a short anecdote. I think I was having a lot of conversations with founders over Super AI, and then I was chatting with one of my friends, and we were in the same accelerator, and I was telling him, you know, I'm very worried about taking experiments because I have users who are live and my power users are very active. And then I was just saying that they were building a strong attachment. I didn't want to test different kind of experiments because if I did something that would risk the trust, then they wouldn't want to come back and then I would be facing like issues, right? But then I had conversations with Ayush and Jerry and then other founders, and they were saying, you know, you have to test monetization, because if you don't test it, the kind of results you get from people who are using it for free are completely different from those who are willing to pay. And those who are willing to pay might be needing something different from people who are just testing for free, right? And they're just helping out. So my initial users, a lot of them were like, let me help you out, Mabel, I'll talk to your oppa. But helping out is different from whether or not they are representative of the real market kind of pool signals. So I started asking for monetization. I started paid testing this week. And I asked 21 of my past beta users, not the current one, because I want the current ones to still be on the product, and then I'll slowly test, and I segmented them for another experiment. And I asked 21 of them, 3 said yes, 1 said no, and 15 like just totally ignored me. But I think this was something that was necessary for me to overcome like this barrier of charging. I think my main issue, I just kept thinking, no one will pay for it. But then I'm like, isn't it better to know your data signals now? And one of my friends said, if you think about it, your power users are like, what, like 5 maybe, or 4? Like if you disappoint them, you just find 5 more, like it's fine. And then he's like, you could go into an MRT train and you fight and you disappoint more people than if you just screw up this conversation with a companion and your existing users. And I was like, okay, that's like a mindset shift. Like, why am I not failing more? Like I need to fail forward more so I get more data signals that can iterate faster and have a better experience for my actual users. So my next test is actually to offer them a 99 cents paid testing kind of barrier so that I can see what their main kind of constraints are and then move towards really getting them to give me insights as to what my paid product will look like in the future. So what happened last week was, I think I mentioned I did the early initial testings of the loop. So you'll be wondering what this photo is. So the main point is progress has to feel visible and personal. So the previous insight was that the reward moments were very effective, but they were still siloed. So for example, if a user said they will complete a pact, I'll say, I'll give you a gift. And he would give this gift of a flower, and I had users who said, oh my God, your hands are so sexy, like I love this flower, it's great. And then they would want to know more about him, and they would continue doing pacts, right? But then I realized I had to keep coming up with random ideas, and then how do I excite them more? Like maybe I give them like him playing guitar, him like singing, or like, you know, like so many different things, but then they're all in silos and it doesn't deepen the relationship. So I think a few weeks ago, I talked about the relationship harness I'm trying to build between them and their companion. So I realized I needed to have like a visible progression and milestones. Actually, this was inspired by, like, I was talking to Surya and he was mentioning that, you know, milestones and community. So I think after all these conversations, it's like all in, like, plus the residents who are sharing all these insights, I think I came up with this new pact that made me realize that I have to add in like visible progress and also then help them to see that they are really moving forward. Then we can start monetizing it. So this photo is of a leaf. And the leaf is a picture that I sent yesterday where I say, oh, guess what I saw, like I just adopted something. And then I had actually 4 out of 5 users immediately texting back to the companion to say, is it a turtle? Is it a plant? They were just really curious. So then I started this bonsai pact. So basically, the bonsai pact is a pact that turns tiny self-care habits into visible progress. So every day, like, they will be getting something new to understand more about his world, because they keep asking him, what are you doing today? How are you? And then I realized I wasn't giving them enough of something to leverage on. So then I wanted to make the next action so small that they could complete daily habits that will get them towards their goal, while he also does something with building a bonsai, like growing a bonsai, and then they can grow together, and then it's kind of like a gamification, but with a very clear progress arc. So it's no open-ended, what goal do you want to have? Like, it's like we will prescribe the goal based off their wellness habits, and then if they get to clock something, they unlock the next step, and the completion will advance the story, and it will just preserve the connection so that they feel like they are really learning something about the companion. So I'm starting this test right now, and I think this is day 1 actually. So I did the teaser yesterday and they were really excited about it, but I realized some bugs, like when they say, oh, I don't want this pack. And then he's like, oh, so it's okay, I'm here for you. Okay, this is like a distress signal. I need to go and work on the back end. I think the routing too, I need to add another route that has like a reward packed inside the entire architecture system. But see, if I test it, then I'll find out what's wrong. And I need to like mess up first. So I think this is really helping me to progress with iterating my product. So another interesting update is, I know previously I only had like 1 human contributor and 2 agents, but recently I decided that, you know, it's enough. Like, I feel like I have been focusing a lot on engineering because I wanted to try and overcome this barrier that I couldn't build the product on myself, because I'm non-technical. My background is non-technical, but I wanted to pick it up and learn, right? So what I did was I focused 3 months on building the product on my own. But now I realized I needed extra help. So I previously had a systems engineer who was working with me, and I actually re-invited her back in. So she's now contributing to help me build out the paid loop engineering while I focus fully on marketing and distribution. So I still have my 2 agents, and then I have now 2 contributors in the team, and it's to help me reduce my bottleneck. So I'm going to free up time so that I can work on like product execution, and I can look at like having the agents like speed up my go-to-market strategy, but then not get bottlenecked by me actually building the product. So this is my next focus. I'm going to convert my existing demand. I've already started on the product side, like validating like what they actually want and what paid product should be like. And after this, what I'm hoping to do is also to double down on distribution. I currently have LinkedIn. I'm already building in public, but I haven't really been selling as much because people ask me about my product, but I've been like, oh, it's still closed beta, because I don't want to put it in their hands and I'm worried it breaks. But now I'm going to continue pushing out. For Instagram, I have an existing Instagram account that was for coaching. I haven't leveraged it as well, so I'm going to slowly convert it into building in public as a founder. I think that's a strategy that I learned that Wilson and I think Ace does very well, so I'm going to learn from them as well. Waitlister, I'm going to start DMing all my existing users, see if they are willing to just come aboard for a 2-week trial, the Bonsai Pact, and then I will do paid monetization to see how they would respond to having a gating, get more storylines from him, maybe like his childhood story, or like, you know, like if he learns a new skill together with the user. And lastly, I'm gonna start an ASMR account for my companion. So it's like companion-led acquisition, where he will have an account that will lure like users who are aligned with wanting to know more about him to join in the experience for Maibo. Yeah, so my next proof point is visible progress, narrative reward, which will improve follow through and willingness to pay. And actually, since I have some time, I'm just gonna show you about show you some of the interesting, how do I do this? I'll share with you like my screen because I think there are some cool bits that are fun and I was experimenting with my Hermes agent this week. Can you see my screen? Yes, okay. So this is the leaf that I shared, and then I started iterating on all the images that he will share across the 14 days. So the fun part is when I'm doing image generation, you realize that now the models are so good that they can really make it look very consistent, right? And then it's just basically POV shots of him learning how to grow a bonsai. But the fun part is, right, I realized that as I had to design it so that it doesn't look too fake. So you have to, on one day he's wearing gray pants, other day he's wearing shorts, and then make sure that the lighting is different so it looks consistent. And then for female psychology, even things like the hands, right, I've tested this out before. You see this versus this is very different in terms of the tone. I don't know if y'all can tell. You see the ladies are laughing. I'm not sure about the men. To y'all, it looks the same, right? Which one do you prefer? Okay, look, tell me, 1 or 2? Really? What's wrong with 2? Tell me what. Okay, actually I'm doing testing now. See, 1, 2, 3. Which ones would y'all prefer seeing? 3. This one, right? You see, because his hands here versus here is different. You see, there's a different kind of subtle nuance, right? Yeah, I cannot say why, but but the feeling is just different, right? Yeah. See, and then I actually tuned it. I was like, can you give me a bit more muscles, but then not too much, and then fold up the sleeves a little bit because the first sleeve you see is a bit different also. It's pushed up differently. So I had to do all these iterations, which was quite funny for me. And then another thing that I realized was really it was really funny to try out. So the good thing is, the website, I already rolled it out, and I used Hermes to fully build out the entire website, my workspace agent. And I even asked my new contributors to try it, and apparently the free model works very well already. So if you haven't tried it, use the free model. The workspace agent already does amazing work. And I set up a Stripe payment gating, and even gave everything was just done through Hermes. And the craziest bit is also, it helped me set up my end-to-end funnel in terms of the email marketing. And I'm not sure if you all know this, but I just learned this. I was speaking to another founder friend. She said that, sometimes it gets pushed into promotion because if you say something that is maybe you put in pricing or numbers, vouchers, then you will get pushed into promotion, which means there's a less likelihood of them seeing it in your main inbox. So I did quite a lot of iterations, and now I finally got this version, which is also fully created by Hermes Agent. This full stack where it is an automated code that links to a private chat with everyone with a unique super base code. And then even a paid promotional code that was given. So all these are actually set up, plus a tracking system that automatically updates every time new users come in. Yeah, so all these were set up with the agent. So I thought it was really fast to be able to move for my go-to-market strategy. And I think these are some of the key updates that I have. So yes, thank you. If you have questions, that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Mabel. Yeah. Do we have questions for Mabel?
Hello, so because you talked about the monetization earlier, so my question is actually, at what point of your product journey do you think that your product is ready to monetize? At what point you think it's not ready to monetize? Is there any metric that you monitor, like number of user, or number of feature deliver, or what kind of metric you think?
That's a great question. So initially I was thinking it's not ready, right? Because I'm really perfectionist. I'm like, no, I feel like there are still some bugs. And the craziest bit is the users are telling me that it's ready. When I ask them, they're like, Mabel, this is really good already. You should just push it out. right? And then you're like, okay, then I'm thinking, they tell me to push out, but if I ask them to pay, will they pay, right? So then I have to start thinking, how do I then segment them? What is the best price point? I think just now we were having a discussion with corporate strategy, like corporate strategy team, and then we had this chat about pricing as well. Like the best pricing, according to discussions with other founder friends, is that they must say it's expensive, but then they're still willing to pay. Then that is the right price, firstly, because they complain, but then it still gives them value. But how do I identify that point? I think that is actually something I'm experimenting with. I don't think I was ready to monetize, but I had so many discussions, and I think especially like when I talked to Jerry and Ayush, they were like, no, Mabel, you just push out and then see. So then I just tried it. So now I think it's more like, it's not really like I'm pushing up because I want to earn that amount, because it's a very small amount, but it's more like testing whether or not psychologically they are willing to even put some money into this to cross that barrier. If I can't even cross it, then I think that was what I was testing for. So I think once it's something scrappy, like at least in accelerators, what I learned was that you should push out something that is, I mean, I know I'm supposed to do it, but I haven't fully done it all the time. Like you should push out something that before you think it's ready, you should push it out already, and then let the signals tell you. If they complain that it's too expensive, then you think, okay, what's the best price point? Which features should I add on? Then I ask them. So actually now what I'm doing is I just push out. I don't feel ready, but I push out and they tell me what they want. So when they pay, they have more expectations. Then I try and meet those expectations and I build it out for them. Yeah, so that's how I'm going about it. So I haven't gotten a lot of responses yet, so I'll let you know when it progresses. But so far, that's how I've been looking at the pricing. And also I compare it with my other competitors like wellness and companion apps. I think the sweet spot is between 12 maybe, 11, 12 to $20. Because I think this is the general kind of psychology that we have towards like AI products. And also I need to make sure that the token cost is something that I can manage. Otherwise, I won't be making profits. And then as a startup, I think this would not be a startup. Yeah, so that's my point. Thanks for the question.
Any other questions? Adib, did you? Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Hello. Okay. Very nice thing happening this week. I think was managed to catch Mabel like pretty much early on this week. So I think like I shared with her pretty much what the entire thesis was. But then definitely it was like a crazy sprawl. Technically we can do whatever, but trying to hit so many different milestones was pretty much too much a big picture lah. So I think Mabel recommended like, okay, just focus on one thing, and one thing that has always been like an issue that pretty much firms always have. So I think like kind of step back and then looking at like the current tools that we already offer, and then pretty much wrap that as the go-to-market strategy for whatever this is lah. So pretty much like during that day, immediately after that conversation with Mabel, I actually left and then I went to like a firm to say, hey, how about this? Like we just focus on your design to documentation stage instead. And they were like, yeah, because that's pretty much the problem. So I didn't have to sell things like, oh, you can do XXX, Y, and like the entire humdrum, which is actually really bad because it was all ideas and I technically haven't implemented any of that yet lah. And like I actually only implemented the design to documentation part. So so I think right now the thesis is pretty much very simple. It's just orchestrate like a very thematic thing in AEC and using that as the entire pipeline. Because I think like big picture is that it's probably not a thing that can be resolved like in 2 weeks, that sort of thing. Like the entire process is still like really, really long in terms of like one tool's interoperability with another. So that's a start. So right now, I think like before this week, actually, over the weekend I met like with some former colleagues, and then like one of them actually played Minecraft a lot. So like I think for context, like what happened is generally like whatever I'm doing now is just orchestrating different softwares to create like the design intention or documentation intention needed. So I think I left that what do you call that? I left that. Oh, sekejap eh. I left that conversation trying to find out, oh, I'm sure someone has like probably like done research on how to automate like Minecraft. And like definitely in Minecraft, like the propositions are pretty much the same with architecture. Like if you can automate this in Minecraft, you can probably automate this in real life. So what happening is that using the same framework, I guess this is like a better start for the orchestration model that we have. So for example, like right now, I guess this is just the demo. So for example, in your documentation software, etc., usually practitioners who want to go from one software to the other, it means handing off to a separate team. And that separate team means being able, technically competent to use both softwares. So right now how it works is pretty much the same, but like the practitioner themselves has their entire team with them all the time. So let's say, the idea here is not to have the operator go through the motions of clicking through every different software lah. So technically, like the idea here is it's an easy handoff, like how you hand off to an actual human team. So this time you just hand off to your agentic colleague. So how this works is that the good thing is that the orchestrator model will take your input, take the operator's input, and start breaking it down like Minecraft, like how to actually go from one step to the other. And these are the same steps that the operator will probably have to teach the entire team to do just to be able to get like to get like geometry moving from like one design to another documentation software. So for example, oh, perfect. So in this case, this experience has been completed by the orchestrator model, who is able to orchestrate like separate agents in a different software. So in terms of scalability, that means we just need to understand the workflows that practitioners have and understand like where the bottlenecks are. So for example, really good, like wait, this is me selling Koyo actually. But there is like the process usually to be able to go from one software to another is really mind-numbing, but then it also means having to be able to orchestrate and understand the different standards, let's say, which is tribal knowledge to your specific team, or even like your company standards. And the good thing about like orchestration models, or just generally like with LLMs in general, they can ingest a lot of information, and these are information we can use as guardrails to allow it to do a certain steps to reach a final objective. So like at the end of the day, like it's trying to revamp the workflow where architects really love to approve stuff lah. They like to review and approve stuff. So the entire workflow now is to actually bombard them with that review and approval process instead. So they can just go through the motions of like confirming whatever is done in their softwares of choice, or whatever workflows that they need to meet that day, and pretty much just approve. And then it just keeps building up. So over time, what happens is that the same orchestrator models become like a digital twin of the operator. So they start learning like what are their preferences, what are their workflows, and it scales up with them. So actually, if like they leave like that firm to go to another firm, that knowledge doesn't disappear completely. Because right now, if a senior person leaves, then goodbye to any knowledge that you have. But if it's something that it can be like a colleague at their side, not forever, I guess like the idea is like forever, but it's just like a digital twin of yourself, then it grows with the operator as well. So in theory, it will help I guess experience in architecture to be much more pleasant, because you spend less time trying to understand how to operate different software, but you understand like the core and fundamental business of architecture, which is just design like in general. So yeah, so I think that's just like the summary of this week. Minecraft is really good, and apparently like a lot of people are like doing like a lot of research stuff on like games actually. So I think like that's the turning point for me. I kind of realized like I should be looking at less serious domains in that capacity. Actually, it's like entertainment. It's like the single domain that has the most research done in general. And it goes through the loops. Like, it's not even like academics. It's like actually just like normal kids. Kids are also like coming out with research papers, etc. So I think that's quite an interesting way to frame it, because I guess it's ego. Like we always think like, oh yeah, I probably know. But surprisingly, kids know much, much better, because they don't have this like entire ego in the loop lah. So yeah. And I guess for next week also, the core is still to go through the motions of bringing geometry and information from different environments into whatever production environment is needed. So yeah, actually I'm very nervous, so I think that's why I think I talk like super fast. Okay, so thank you.
Thank you, Adib. Any questions for Adib?
Super interesting because yeah, I was just telling a few colleagues of mine that I was reading a book, and it was basically espousing the fact that in this complex world where new problems are coming up and we're trying to solve unknown kind of problems, actually it is interesting to borrow from totally different fields as opposed to just thinking that specialist and specialized knowledge is the best way to solve new and unknown problems. So it's very interesting what you just said, kind of like just resonates exactly with what the author was trying to say.
Yeah, I think like that kind of like shifted my understanding like 180 because like you mentioned, I think I suddenly realized like, oh my goodness, people are already looking at the problems that you might have, but probably in just like a different way. And why start from ground zero when you can just like stand on the shoulders of giants or even kids like actually it's like, oh, actually wow, pretty much like really amazing. Yeah. So yeah, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you, Adib.
Thank you.
All right, guys, we've come to the end. Today we just have the three demos, a short week this week. I want to thank those online who are always, every week, always show up every week silently. Thanks for dialing in and supporting us. All right, so with that, we'll just close today's show and tell, unless anybody here wants a demo. Going once, going twice. Okay, gone. All right, thanks everybody.